Part 24. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 233. Qin Ji naturally didn't know about the conversation between King Kong and the others. At this time, he was watching Belfast helping him make the bed on the ship. Belfast, why don't you go help others? I can do these things myself, Qin Ji said with a smile. Why did the master say such things again? Belfast said while busy. I am the master's exclusive maid. Of course, I have to take care of the master's side first, and then help other ladies. Everything has an order of priority, and the master always ranks first with me. Okay, even if you say that, I'm very happy. Qin Ji smiled, turned his head and looked at the sea from the cabin window. Speaking of which, it's been a year since I came to this world without knowing it. Belfast's hand that was making the bed paused. Is the master homesick? Qin Ji nodded, then shook his head. It's natural to be homesick, but now I'm not sure whether my home is in that world or this world. Because there is no one close to me in that world. I remember telling you that my parents died early and I have no relatives. Even if you have only a few friends, you may be very busy and worry about your own affairs, so you seldom socialize. But now in this world, I have you, I have Wan Auntie and Wan Lao, so sometimes I can't tell whether this is my home or the original world. As Qin Ji said this, he couldn't help but fell into deep thought again. At this time, Belfast put down his work, walked behind Qin Ji, opened his arms and hugged his waist. This movement startled Qin Ji, and he brought his thoughts back, feeling the soft touch on his back and the strength of the arm hugging his waist. Qin Ji said with some embarrassment, Belfast, what are you doing? Master, please forgive me for being rude, because I want to tell you now that you are not alone here. We will be by your side no matter when and where, Belfast said softly. Qin Ji originally wanted to pull Belfast's arm away, but after hearing these words, he gave up his action. I made you worry, Qin Ji said softly. Actually, the master doesn't have to think that way, Belfast said. I found that the master always looked happy when he was in front of us, and he was also very kind and gentle to each of us. And some depressing things are left to oneself to bear alone, but this is wrong. We also really want to bear all the things with the owner, whether it is happy or sad, because this is the expression of family. What do you think? Therefore, when the owner encounters some problems in the future, please don't always think about shouldering it yourself, but try to talk to us. In this way, the sorrow will be alleviated by sharing. So Belfast isn't going to tease me anymore today, Qin Ji said with a smile. If the master is willing, Belfast said with a smile. Qin Ji sighed slightly, thank you, I've caused you trouble. Being able to solve the master's troubles is the greatest honor for a maid. Belfast smiled slightly, then let go of Qin Ji's waist, turned around, and continued to make the bed. Feeling the power dissipate from his body, Qin Ji looked back and saw Belfast walking towards the bed, and couldn't help but smile. Then he looked at the vast sea again, and suddenly felt that he felt a lot more relaxed. Perhaps, as Belfast said, finding someone to talk to once in a while is also a very good way. After Belfast finished organizing Qin Ji's things, the two walked out of the hatch together. But he saw several people standing there chatting on the platform at the end of the aisle for ship girls to get on and off. Qin Ji walked over with a smile and said to several people, have your rooms been tidied up? Why are you all crowded here? Yeah, it's the commander. Javelin turned his head and said in surprise to Qin Ji who was approaching, it's because I just saw a very beautiful fish. Because it swam very fast, I dived into the water. Just now U-96 jumped from here and caught him, we are waiting here. Huh? Did U-96 jump into the sea? Qin Ji was stunned and then asked. Yes, brother. The unicorn on the side hugged Jiang and said to Qin Ji. Can she keep up with this command ship at her speed? Do you want me to go to the top and tell the ship to stop for a while? Qin Ji said quickly. Commander, don't worry, U-96 is very fast, because we have seen it before at the training ground, Javelin said to Qin Ji. Huh? Really? Qin Ji asked. Hey, Commander, can you take a look here? U-96 should be back soon, Javelin said confidently. Okay, Qin Ji nodded, but having said that, have your rooms been tidied up? If not, your Belfast sister is here, and I can ask her to tidy it up for you. Javelin glanced at Belfast and said with a smile, we went to clean up the room when we first came up. Now it has been cleaned up. There are also Spences and Ayanamis. I have helped clean them up. Qin Ji smiled and said, it's amazing. He, of course, Javelin is very capable, Javelin said with a smile. At this time, Qin Ji turned to look at the unicorn on the side. What about you? Unicorn, have you packed up? Yeah, the unicorn nodded. The unicorn's place has been sorted out. He, Commander, don't you know? The unicorn lives with me, Javelin said with a smile. Qin Ji smiled and said, that's good. You two live together and you can help each other. But I remember, doesn't the unicorn live with Guanghui? I have told Sister Guanghui, and Sister Guanghui also agreed, the unicorn said. Haha, not bad, Qin Ji laughed. At this time, on the sea in the distance, a figure emerged from under the water, and she was riding something that looked like a submersible, approaching here at a very fast speed. Commander, look, U-96 is back, Javelin said excitedly. Qin Ji raised his eyes and looked over, and sure enough, a U-96 wearing a dead body and a blue jacket was approaching. She was wearing goggles at this time, and the submersible under her body was her ship uniform. After approaching the moving command ship, U-96 jumped over from the submersible and landed firmly on the platform, holding a fish that kept swinging in its hand. Ah, it's Commander, let's see what my harvest is like this time. Is this fish good looking? U-96 said happily. Qin Ji looked at the colorful fish, smiled and nodded, it looks good. Hey, I'm very good at catching fish. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 234. Life on the ship is actually very boring, because the space is so big and there are only a few people, but Qin Ji is quite used to it. Because his life is usually quite boring. In addition to training with the ship girl every day, he spends most of his time preparing lessons or reading books to enrich his knowledge. So the boring and tasteless life on the ship did not have much impact on him. Because the distance between Donghuang and Chongying is quite far, and this time we are not outside Chongying, but heading to Chongying main island. So along the way, Qin Ji spent most of the time carrying a book to the second floor of the command ship, finding a place close to the sea breeze, opening the book, and reading there all afternoon. Of course, apart from him, there is another person who is like that, and that is Bismarck, the flagship of the iron-blooded army. Bismarck usually has no smile on his face and has a serious expression, so many people are not too close to her, especially several destroyers, who were so frightened that they could not speak when they saw Bismarck. Perhaps because he sensed this, Bismarck also preferred to sit next to Qin Ji and read books together. Perhaps this way, she would not appear so unsociable. There are still too few iron-blooded people recently. Qin Ji's fleet only has 3 people, Bismarck, Prince Eugen, and U-96. Needless to say, U-96 is naturally with those destroyers every day. As for Prince Eugen, he usually doesn't like to talk much, especially when he is with Bismarck. Apart from talking about business matters, she rarely talked about other personal matters. Perhaps it was because she knew Bismarck's character was like that, so she didn't want to mention it. So in such a large fleet, only Qin Ji could chat relaxedly with Bismarck and discuss some strategies and tactics. However, other people will also join in while Qin Ji is reading, chatting about things that have nothing to do with the battle, which can neutralize the atmosphere and not make it so boring. But there was one thing that made Qin Ji a little embarrassed. After all, he was driving on the sea, especially when there was sufficient sunlight. There are a few ship girls who like to wear swimsuits and bask in the sun on the deck above the second floor, and because the ship girls have the same skin color as they originally were, they will not change their color even if they are exposed to too much sun. So this also makes many ship girls, most of them prefer the beach, so when Qin Ji is reading on the second floor these days, he can always see several ship girls in swimsuits, chatting with each other and saying hello to him. After saying hello, we walked to the deck outside the business and leisure area and began to bask in the sun. This situation gave Qin Ji a headache. It might be said that he was a little embarrassed. After all, except for a few destroyers in his fleet, the other ship girls are all very proud. Especially when wearing a swimsuit, it definitely brings out the proud figure. No matter what, Qin Ji is a man, and he naturally likes beautiful things. So looking at this extremely tempting scenery over and over again made him unable to help but think about it. And the most important thing is that sometimes his ship girl will drag him over to bask in the sun, and Belfast thoughtfully prepares swimming trunks for him, which makes it even harder for him to refuse. So as time went by, Sufei, who was initially embarrassed about such things, now gradually became numb. The sunshine is really nice today, but speaking of the fact that Commander has been with us these past few days, he himself has turned dark. Guanghui smiled and said to Qin Ji, who was lying on a chair reading a book. Is it dark? Hearing Guanghui's voice, Qin Ji put down the book and looked at his arm. It is indeed a lot darker. But this makes her look very attractive, Prince Yujin said on the side. Although the previous commander had a pretty good figure, he still looked a bit delicate with fair skin. Oh, are you that delicate? Qin Ji said with a smile. Of course, if you don't believe it, you can ask other people, Prince Yujin smiled. I think Commander is fine, Bumblebee said while lying on the other side, but Commander, is the book in your hand really that good looking? There are several beauties lying around you, isn't that right? Is the book that I compared good to you? Qin Ji choked. In an instant, everyone around him laughed and looked at Qin Ji meaningfully, wanting to hear what he explained. Qin Ji said speechlessly, this kind of thing can't be confused at all, okay. After all, our goal is the front line, and time is relatively tight now. I want to take advantage of this period of time to replenish myself, at least and get a good result in the next competition. But I think the commander has put too much pressure on himself, Lexington said, although I was summoned by the commander and did not see what your concurrent commander looked like, I also heard that Guanghui they said it. Your current strength and thinking are already several levels higher than theirs, so I think commanders should not put so much pressure on themselves. They should relax occasionally and combine work and rest, so that they can learn more. That's right, Commander puts too much pressure on himself, Bumblebee said. I found that the goals you set for yourself are not people at the same time, but farther goals. In fact, goals like that are not at all, there is no feasibility. Actually, I quite understand, Commander, Guanghui said with a smile. The reason why Commander has been working hard is to enable us to survive better on the battlefield, because he has already lost his family, so he doesn't want to see anyone anymore. To lose us. Qin Ji smiled when he heard this, put down the book in his hand and said, you are all right, so I won't read today. That's ridiculous, Bumblebee chuckled. At this time, Belfast came out with a plate of desserts and juice and placed it next to everyone's table. Qin Ji looked at Belfast and said to her, Belfast, have you given it to them? The people Qin Ji was talking about were naturally referring to King Kong and others. Belfast nodded, the master has been prepared and will be sent to them later. Qin Ji thought for a while, how about the two of us go together? After all, it seems more polite. Commander isn't going to take advantage of King Kong and the others, is he? Guanghui laughed. Haha, I don't think so. After all, our commander is very shy, Prince Eugen said. Qin Ji smiled awkwardly and said to Prince Eugen, you know the best. Prince Eugen smiled, haha, of course. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 235. Although Prince Eugen said so, in fact this is just a method of provoking generals. In fact, no matter which commander is in charge, it is impossible to ignore a ship girl who is at full level of training. Naturally, Qin Ji couldn't escape. After all, full training means she has strong strength, and strong strength is the basis for survival on the battlefield. It can increase the stability of the battlefield and the survivability of all the ship girls in his fleet. What commander wouldn't want to fight for such a ship girl? That's why Qin Ji and Belfast walked towards the third floor together. Because after entering dangerous waters, several entrusted ship girls began patrolling and escorting in groups. In their free time, they are either in their dormitories or in the control room. Although I had a few words with Qin Ji and others, they were still relatively few, and the general sense of distance was maintained. The two people arrived on the third floor. There were only 3 people in the control room, King Kong, Fuzang, and Xinyu. Huh? It's Commander Qin Ji and Belfast. Because Fuzu was sailing the ship, King Kong and Xinyu were each sitting on the sofa behind the control room. King Kong was sitting in the inner position, facing the stairs, so when Qin Ji walked up with Belfast, she saw it at a glance. Hello, King Kong, Xinyu and Fuzang. Qin Ji smiled and said, where are the others? I remember that the ones patrolling with the ship now are Sichuan and Filong, right? Megami, Hasho, and Takao are all resting in the dormitory right now, and most likely they are looking for Mikasa-sama. There are only 3 of us here. Kongo stood up and smiled. Okay, Qin Ji smiled slightly. Belfast made some desserts and black tea and other things today. We brought some for you. I hope you like them. Black tea? Haha, I remember that when I was in the royal family, I still liked drinking it very much, so thank you, Commander Qin Ji. King Kong was not polite, took it directly from Belfast's hand, and then desserts and black tea were distributed to the 3 people present. By the way, Commander Qin Ji and Belfast, you two should sit down. After King Kong finished dividing the things, he greeted Brother Qin. Thank you. Qin Ji smiled slightly, then sat down, and Belfast also stood behind him. You are too polite. King Kong smiled. I think this is the easiest escort mission we have ever done. Not only is there a luxurious command ship, but there is also such delicious food. This is all thanks to Commander Qin Ji. Official. This is what I should do. After all, we have run commission tasks before, so we know what you need. Qin Ji smiled. Oh? Isn't Commander Qin Ji a tactical instructor at the Commander Academy? Why are you still running missions? King Kong asked. Qin Ji smiled and shook his head. The dean is indeed right. Now, as the instructor of the tactics class, I obviously have more titles. But my actual identity is a first-year student of the Commander Academy. I'll be a sophomore after this summer. Huh? There is such a thing? King Kong was surprised, but I see that your strategic strength is not something only a first-year student can have. At least no commander who has been fighting for more than 10 years is as strong as you are now. Strength. This is a special situation for me, so I can't do it accurately. Qin Ji waved his hand and said, I entered the Commander Academy a year ago. At that time, I didn't even know what a ship girl was. All kinds of things happened later. It can be said that my current achievements are entirely due to chance and chance. Seeing that Qin Ji spoke in such general terms, King Kong didn't ask about the encounter or opportunity. Because the reality is that Qin Ji's current fleet is very powerful. If first-year students are used as the standard, then his current achievements can be said to be unprecedented and unprecedented. I'm very curious about one thing. How did Commander Qin Ji get the very famous glory on our front line to join your fleet? King Kong asked curiously. Qin Ji paused for a moment after being asked about this, and then said to King Kong, "It's fate, so you can join my team." Commander Qin Ji, if you don't want to say it, you don't have to say it, King Kong said. Don't fool me, he complained to Qin Ji. Well, really, Qin Ji said, actually, having said that, until now, I don't know why Guanghui joined my fleet, but it just happened so naturally. I didn't think too much about it at the time. After all, for a ship girl, joining a fleet means entrusting her life to this commander, so I had no need or reason to ask her why she chose I. King Kong smiled and shook his head. I originally thought you were hiding it, but now I know, you really don't know. So why do you think Guanghui joined my fleet? Based on your understanding of Guanghui's character, Qin Ji asked. King Kong couldn't help rolling his eyes. If you have the time to ask me, you might as well ask Guanghui directly. Well, sometimes I'm embarrassed and can't ask, Qin Ji said awkwardly. Seeing Qin Ji's awkward look, King Kong smiled slightly and said, maybe it's because you are shy. Qin Ji was speechless for a moment, and a black line flashed on his forehead. I don't think it's possible. Haha, just kidding, King Kong laughed, then looked at the crescent moon beside him, and said to Qin Ji, Commander Qin Ji, if there are still free ship girls who want to join your fleet, then you will you? Qin Ji smiled and said, of course I will. After all, no commander is too much for a ship girl. What if her level is not high? King Kong asked. That's okay. After all, every summoned ship girl has a low level of training and has been trained bit by bit. This is a very normal thing, Qin Ji said with a smile. Even if the rarity of that ship girl is not high, King Kong continued to ask. War is not a war for one person, it is a war for a group of people. If there is always a ranking, then there must be the first one, and there must be the last one. Doesn't the last one have to live? Qin Song smiled. So the rarity of ship girls is not a problem. Just like the Langley instructors and assault instructors in our school, they are just ordinary trained ship girls in the traditional sense. Should we deny their contribution in the war just because their rarity is relatively low? I think the difference between ship girls is only the type of ship, rarity, and so on, and there is not much difference. King Kong looked at Qin Ji, his eyes showing a different light. Haha, Commander Qin Ji is really a very strange person. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu Ji. Chapter 236. When leaving from King Kong, Qin Ji felt that King Kong's attitude towards him had softened a lot. He couldn't tell what exactly had changed, but it had certainly changed. Belfast, who was following Qin Ji, smiled and said to Qin Ji, Master, do you feel that King Kong asked a little too much today? It's not bad, I also gained a lot today, Qin Ji smiled and said, or do you think there is something wrong with them in Belfast? Belfast shook his head, it just feels a little strange. King Kong is very concerned about the master's opinion on the free ship girl joining the fleet today, but according to what Miss Guanghui said before, she has no intention of joining other fleets. Qin Ji nodded and said, indeed, if she wants to join the fleet, there are so many commanders on the front line who are better than me. If she wants to join, she should join already. There is no need to wait until now. Maybe she was just curious about why Guanghui wanted to join my fleet. Belfast smiled slightly. Although Qin Ji said this, she didn't think that this was King Kong's original intention. Maybe King Kong had other meanings, but now that she didn't say it, they had no way of knowing. But Master really doesn't know why Miss Glory joined our fleet, Belfast said. I don't know, Qin Ji shook his head, I was so excited to join our fleet because of Guanghui. Later, as we got to know each other slowly, I didn't ask her why she wanted to join the fleet. Anyway, she became a member of our fleet. Why don't you ask me now? Anyway, Miss Guanghui has joined our fleet for a long time. If you ask, Master, I believe she will definitely tell you, Belfast said with a smile. Qin Ji thought for a while and then nodded. Then he took a step forward and walked towards the place where they were sunbathing. After arriving at the place, I found that only Lexington and Guanghui were left here, and everyone else had already left. Hey, why are you two alone? Where are the others? Qin Ji said to Guanghui and Lexington. They saw that Commander Yu had already left, so they felt bored and went back to their rooms. Lexington smiled. Didn't Commander go to King Kong's place? Why did you come back so quickly? Qin Ji sat next to the two of them and said to them, I went to King Kong's place to chat for a while and then came back. It's not something serious. It will take a long time. What do you think of them? Which one does the commander like? If you want, I can be a lobbyist, Guanghui said with a smile. Qin Ji shook his head. It depends on fate, you can't force it, just like me and you before. But having said that, why did you want to join our fleet at that time, Guanghui? Although I'm a little special, I don't think that's why you chose me, because at that time you didn't know that I came from another world. Commander, what happened today? Why did you suddenly think of asking this question? Guanghui said with some confusion. Qin Ji replied, because I mentioned this issue when I was chatting with King Kong before. He said to me, you were very popular on the front line, and many commanders wanted you to join their fleet, but you refused. But why did you choose to join my fleet? She asked me like this, and I couldn't answer. I also thought about it later and found that I was actually not very good at that time, and the fleet was not very strong. After you joined, until now, you are still the strongest combat force in our fleet. So I'm a little confused. Why on earth do you want to join my fleet? When Qin Ji finished speaking his thoughts, Lexington on the side also looked at Guanghui curiously. Although she knew that Guanghui joined the fleet halfway, she did not expect that Qin Ji, as the commander, would not know why Guanghui joined her fleet. Guanghui looked at the serious Qin Ji and couldn't help but smile. If the commander wants to know, then I can tell you. In fact, when I was on the front line, many people asked me to join their fleet. Didn't I tell you, Commander, before? But due to various reasons, I did not join again and again. After that, His Royal Highness the Prince sent me an invitation letter. She said that there was an extremely outstanding commander in her academy. Although he was only a student, he had a bright future and a lot to do. And invited me to come over and be the commander's escort. At the same time, I could relax and relieve the tension on the front line. And this commander is none other than you, Commander. When I came to Shenhua City, the first time I saw you was not in the office, but in the lecture hall where you were teaching. At that time, you left a deep impression on me. A trainee commander with the rank of private did not show any fear. He taught courses to a group of captains, majors, and lieutenant colonels with high spirits. Later, I went on a mission with you, chatted with you, and learned about your ideals and ambitions. And I found that the commander didn't have any thoughts about me like Commander Guitar. For example, he coveted my strength. For example, he coveted my appearance. Instead, you showed great respect. Although the commander is not a gentleman, your demeanor impressed me deeply. Later, I remembered that it was that mission that convinced me to join your fleet. Because Commander, you and I have very similar ideals. Burn yourself and illuminate others. Let us march in the darkness before dawn and bring light and warmth to those who come after us. So, at that moment, I finally made a decision. I hope to join your fleet, and I hope to stay with you for a lifetime and work together for this ideal. Guanghui spoke very slowly. She looked at Qin Ji with affectionate eyes. This is why I joined the fleet, Commander, do you know now? Qin Ji smiled slightly and nodded, I know, but I'm not as good as you said. Guang Hui smiled slightly, I can't judge whether I am excellent. Only others can judge whether you are excellent, Commander. In my judgment, Commander is the best commander I have ever seen. And Commander, you have to be confident, I believe in you. Soon you will be the best commander in Donghuang and the best commander in the entire Azalane. Qin Ji couldn't help scratching his head, and then solemnly said to Guang Hui, if this is Guang Hui's wish, then I will strive to become the best commander of Donghuang and the best commander of the entire Azalane. The two looked at each other and couldn't help laughing. At this time, Lexington on the side said, why do I suddenly feel a little envious? Qin Ji smiled and said, why are you envious? Guang Hui and I have stories with her, and we have stories with you. Our days will be long in the future. That's a nice thing to say, Commander, but from now on, you're going to call me Sister, Lexington said teasingly. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Mu. Chapter 237. At night, suddenly the sound of airplane engines pierced the night sky. Qin Ji, who was sleeping peacefully on the bed, immediately got up, quickly put on his clothes and ran out the door. I saw several other ship girls running out in the corridor. They looked at Qin Ji, who ran out and nodded involuntarily. Without any verbal communication, we went directly to the third floor. On the third floor, just now, he was standing at the helmsman's position of the command ship, looking steadily ahead. After hearing footsteps on the stairs, she looked back and said to the first few people coming up, Hey, Mikasa-sama, Senior Aurora, and Commander Qin Ji. Why are you here? We came out when we heard the engine sound of the plane. Did we encounter the siren fleet? Mikasa asked. King Kong nodded, yes, we encountered a small fleet of sirens. Need help? Qin Ji asked. King Kong smiled and shook his head, if we all need help when encountering a small siren fleet, then we will not accept this mission. You can just go and sleep peacefully and leave this place to us. Aurora on the side took out the sea chart on the table, glanced at it and said to King Kong, is this already a level 5 corrosive sea area now? King Kong nodded, yes, after passing through the sea area, we will reach Chongying soon. But if the erosion sea area is level 5, the siren fleet inside is above level 85. Can they really hold on? Aurora asked. Don't worry, we have encountered much worse situations than this one, but we still won in the end, so we will win this time too. King Kong smiled and said firmly. Everyone looked at the determined King Kong and couldn't help but nodded, while Qin Ji walked out and stood on the top of the ship looking at the place where the firefight was taking place in the distance with a telescope. The artillery fire roared there, and the sky and the sea were rendered with shining colors. Slowly, the sky turned red, which was the color of flames. And by the light of the flames, Qin Ji saw a mass-produced siren fleet being gradually swallowed up by the flames. Although he could not clearly see the battle situation in the distance, Qin Ji could imagine how strong the combat effectiveness of those ship girls was based on the known intelligence. Is this the free ship girl on the front line? Qin Ji whispered. That's right. At this time, a voice appeared behind Qin Ji. Qin Ji turned his head and saw Guang Hui standing there pretty. Was Guang Hui like this before? Qin Ji asked aloud. Guang Hui walked up to Qin Ji, looked at the red sky in the distance, and couldn't help but nodded, yes, do tasks and fight with others. Is it hard? Qin Ji said. No, because I'm used to it. Guang Hui smiled, with a hint of lightness in his tone, so when the commander arrives at the front line, he will also live like this. I wonder if you will get used to it. Qin Ji smiled and said, I'm mentally prepared. That's good. Guang Hui smiled and said, the battle is almost over. Commander, go and rest quickly. They will definitely take care of this. Qin Ji shook his head. It doesn't matter, we still have plenty of time to rest, but now I want to finish this battle. Guanghui couldn't help but smile. As expected, it's you, you always have something to worry about. But if you don't mind, can you let me accompany you to finish this battle? The corners of Qin Ji's mouth raised slightly. I'll be happy to do so. In fact, this battle did not take long. For King Kong and the others, battles like this were already commonplace. They are one of the most powerful group of free ship girls on the front line. They often go in and out of eroding sea areas. We have seen too many scenes like this. In fact, when it comes to this, it can be said that any ship girl or fleet that can accept the escort of important personnel has extremely strong strength. If there is no strength to support them, they will generally not be allowed to accept such an important task. When the sky in the distance began to turn fish-belly white, and an orange-yellow light gradually rose from the east, several figures appeared on the sea, and these figures were the girls of the Liberty ship who had been fighting all night. In Qin Ji's telescope, they talked and laughed with each other, as if they just went to the amusement park after the fierce battle that just ended. When they approached the command ship, they also saw Qin Ji and Guanghui standing at the top of the command ship. At this time, the two of them were waving their hands towards them, as if welcoming their return. Fuzu, who was gliding, couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. It seems like no one has welcomed our return like this for a long time, right? Everyone looked at Qin Ji and Guanghui standing at the top of the command ship and couldn't help but nodded. Feng Xiang smiled and said, King Kong told me 2 days ago that Commander Qin Ji didn't know why Guanghui joined his fleet, but seeing the scene in front of me, I suddenly understood why Guanghui joined his fleet. Yes, Guanghui seems to have found a good commander. Fi Long nodded. What, are you envious? Kawachi looked at Fi Long provocatively and said. Do you think I'm someone you would envy? Fi Long said, her voice suddenly became calmer, it's just a slight feeling. I said that I want to find my sister myself. Before that, the fleet or anything has nothing to do with me. Tisk, if you want to salvage a purple ship girl with your own hands, I'm afraid it will be difficult to realize this wish, especially since you also designated Soryu, Kawachi said. Aren't you the same? Fi Long laughed. Actually, I don't want to fish out my sisters. Kawachi couldn't help but curled his lips. Stop chatting, it's coming soon. Cao Sheng, who was silent on the side, said loudly. Cao Sheng, what about you? When are you going to find a commander? Kawachi asked. Cao Sheng looked straight ahead and said steadily, let's wait and see when someone can take my sword. Okay, I'm afraid you'll have to be a free ship girl for the rest of your life. Taking your sword? You're kidding. Kawachi couldn't help but rolled his eyes. What kind of strength is Cao Sheng? These people they are familiar with naturally know, a commander who can take Cao Sheng's sword? I'm afraid, I haven't been born in this world yet. As several people complained to each other, the command ship got closer and closer. However, Qin Ji and Guanghui, who were standing on the highest level of the command ship, did not move. They continued to look into the distance at the rising sun. I remember it was a long time ago that I last watched the sunrise with the commander. I didn't expect that I would take this opportunity to watch the sunrise with you again today, Guanghui said with a smile. I watch it every day, because the most beautiful sun is right next to me. Qin Ji smiled slightly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 238. After experiencing the Siren Fleet this time, the rest of the journey was smooth sailing. After a sunrise and sunset, everyone finally arrived at Chongying. After arriving at Chongying, everyone parked the command ship at the military port on Chongying Island, and several people got off the ship together. It can be said that the moment the command ships of the Donghuan camp, especially those flying the Azalain flag and the Donghuan camp flag, arrived at the port of Chongying Island, someone noticed the situation. Therefore, when Qin Ji, Mikasa and the others said goodbye to Kongo and the others, a team of senior officials from Chongying were quickly rushing in this direction. "Aren't you following us?" Mikasa asked King Kong and the others. King Kong shook his head and said with a smile, "After finally coming back to Chongying, I naturally have to have a good sightseeing. And I think Mikasa-sama and Commander Qin Ji came to Chongying this time because of some business issues, so I won't follow you anymore. If you want to go back then, just find us at the local Maritime Safety Bureau. Okay, after all, there are a lot of things going on this time, so you can have some fun during this period. If you have any questions, you can contact us at any time through the Maritime Safety Bureau," Mikasa said. "Thank you so much, Master Mikasa." King Kong saluted Mikasa, then looked at Qin Ji and said, "See you later, Commander Qin Ji." "Well, see you later." Qin Ji smiled softly and said to King Kong and the others. Just as Qin Ji and Mikasa turned their heads and walked out of the pier, two figures appeared at the end of the pier. "Oh, it seems that the person to receive you is here." King Kong saw the person coming and said to Qin Ji and Mikasa. Mikasa, who was beside Qin Ji, naturally saw the person coming. She smiled and said, "I didn't expect that it would be the two of them on duty today." Qin Ji looked at the person who came and saw that both of them were wearing white kimonos, and both of them had the same crane wing sleeves. But the difference is that one has long white hair and a flute hanging on his waist, while the other has long brown hair and a knife hanging on his waist. Qin Ji instantly remembered the two people he had seen in the Ship Girl's manual. They were Xianghe and Ziwehe from Chongying's 5 aviation battles. Come to think of it, the two people standing in front of him were the first 5 aviation warriors to awaken in this world. They walked towards the crowd quickly, with smiles on their faces. Qin Ji knew that this smile was definitely not for him. "I saw them walking in front of everyone." Xianghe said to Mikasa very happily, "Mikasa-sama, you will come back earlier this year than last year." Mikasa smiled and responded, "Because I came back on a special command ship this year, I will arrive here much earlier than usual on a passenger ship." "Is this the command ship?" Ruhi said, looking towards the command ship. "We have just received a notification that a command ship flying the Azalain flag and the Donghuan flag has arrived here. I didn't expect that you, Mikasa-sama, would be sitting on top. Haha, this time I came back as the exclusive command ship, and I took advantage of Commander Qin Ji." Mikasa smiled and said, "Here, let me introduce it to you." Mikasa's words caught Xianghe Ziwehe's eyes, and then he introduced to the two of them, "This is my student at Donghuan Commander Academy, and he is also my colleague Commander Qin Ji." Following Mikasa's introduction, Xianghe and Ruhi's eyes turned to Qin Ji, who they had not paid attention to just now. After all, there were too many commanders in Captain Chongsakura, and the commanders they usually dealt with were basically commanders above Lieutenant Colonel. And when a Captain Commander Qin Ji appeared here, they almost defaulted to being the commander of the mission. "Hello, I am Qin Ji, the first-year commander of Donghuan Commander Academy. It's an honor to meet you too," Qin Ji said to Xianghe and Ruhi. "This." Xianghe understood in an instant, his blue eyes flashing. Presumably Commander Qin Ji is the commander sent by Donghuan to participate in the competition this time, right? "Yes," Qin Ji said to Xianghe in a neither humble nor condescending manner, "it is my honor as a commander to represent Donghuan in this competition. But the rank of a first-year commander should be private. Now even after graduation, he is only an upper-class soldier." "Why are you, Commander Qin Ji, a captain?" Ruhi asked. Sensing the doubts in Ruhi's mouth, Mikasa said to the two of them, "That's because Qin Ji was so outstanding in the Commander Academy that he was promoted to captain by Donghuan Commander-in-Chief Yuxian." Ah, Xianghe and Ziwehe were surprised, because the military ranks in as a lane were universal, so they knew that the ranks from private to captain were skipped over the three military ranks of sergeant, second lieutenant, and lieutenant. Moreover, as a lane has a very mandatory system for military ranks. Only when personal points reach a certain level can the corresponding military rank be promoted. As for Qin Ji's situation, there was no precedent for the commander-in-chief of a camp to issue an order to upgrade his military rank, but each promotion was only to 1 or 2 military ranks. In a situation like this where one is promoted beyond the third level, unless one has made outstanding contributions to the entire camp, there is no way to be promoted so much. Of course, Xianghe and Ruhi would not believe that Yuxian was engaging in malpractice for personal gain, because a camp commander had the dignity of a camp commander and would not make such an order rashly. So the two of them realized that they had really made a mistake in looking at Commander Qin Ji in front of them. Looking at the surprised two people, Mikasa smiled slightly. So this time I accompanied Commander Qin Ji to Chongying, firstly to let him know about our customs in Chongying, and secondly, as the special envoy of Dong Huang, come and lead him to participate in this gathering of the 9 major camps. It's true that people cannot be judged by their appearance, Ruhi sighed, and then said to Qin Ji, Commander Qin Ji, I apologize for my previous neglect of you. I accept your apology. Qin Ji accepted Ruhi's apology calmly. Because this is not the time to show personal etiquette, Qin Ji is not representing him here at this moment, but Dong Huang. Therefore, to ignore him in the Fifth Air War is to ignore Dong Huang. As the representative of Dong Huang, Qin Ji must accept Ruhi's apology calmly. Looking at Qin Ji, who was neither humble nor arrogant, Xianghe and Ruhi found it hard to believe that this was actually a first-year student. But because of Mikasa's previous introduction, they both had to believe it. After all, although Mikasa is not working in Chongying now, but in Dong Huang, she has always been Chongying senior. He would not use such clumsy means to deceive his hometown. Moreover, the information in the Azalane Commander Academy is all interoperable. They only need to investigate and they will know clearly. Immediately, the two couldn't help but look at each other, and they both saw deep worry in each other's eyes. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 239. Although there is no fighting on the surface between the 9 major camps, everything is a common defense line to clear the sirens from the entire sea. However, the struggle behind the scenes has never stopped. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a joint meeting of the 9 major camps again this time. But now that such an excellent commander has appeared in Dong Huang, Xianghe, and Ziwei, as senior leaders of Chongying, are naturally worried. At this moment, although the two of them were worried, they could not show it because this was an internal matter within Chongying and could not be talked about outside. The resting places previously prepared for the 8 camps have been prepared. Please Mikasa-sama and Commander Qin Ji come with us, Xianghe said to several people. Mikasa waved her hand and said, it doesn't matter. We'll wait until the other major camps arrive. I'll take Qin Ji and the others to live at my place first, and I also have to do things to let them know about our customs in Chongying. Yes, Mikasa-sama. Seeing that Mikasa was determined, Xianghe could not interfere. After all, Mikasa is the senior person shared by everyone in Chongqing and the flagship of the Chongying alliance. As for Wu Hangzan, a younger generation, let alone admiration for him. Then Xianghe, Ruhi, you just go and do your work. I'll take them with me next, Mikasa said with a smile, and then took Qin Ji and Aurora towards the outside of the pier and towards the port. Past. Ziwei looked at the ship girls passing by one and couldn't help frowning. When she saw Bismarck and Veneto, she opened her mouth in surprise. I read that right, sister, Ruhi quickly grabbed Xianghe's arm and said anxiously. Xianghe nodded and looked in the direction where the few people were walking away. I believe we all saw it correctly, why Bismarck and Veneto, as the flagships of the 2 camps, would go together with the Dong Huang people, or rather it is not the current general flagship of the Iron Blood and Sardinian Empire, but... Xianghe stopped talking at this point, and Ziwei was even more shocked. She hurriedly said to Xianghe, "Sister, it seems we have to report this matter. This is a big deal. Nothing like this has ever happened before." Xianghe couldn't help curling his lips. "Are you going to meet those two seniors again? It's really annoying. I'd rather patrol here for a while longer." Ruhi couldn't help but stroked his forehead. "Why does my sister always have trouble with the two seniors? Although the two seniors do things of their own accord, at least they are our seniors." "Humph, as a senior, you act like a senior, really," Xianghe said in a strange tone. "Okay, Sister Xianghe, it's more important to get down to business now. It's still too late to talk about those things later." Ruhi pulled Xianghe's sleeves before pulling Xianghe away from the dock. Just when Xianghe and Ziwei went to find the two seniors they mentioned, Mikasa and Qin-ji did not go directly to her home, but to the center of Chongsakura Island. "We came at the right time today. At this time of every month, there will be a festival, and we can take advantage of this time to go see it," Mikasa said to Qin-ji and others. "Sacrifice? Is it a sacrifice or something?" Qin-ji asked doubtfully. "Of course it's the 8 million gods who protect Chongsakura," Mikasa said to Qin-ji, "and this festival is not hosted by anyone else, but by the current Chongsakura flagship." Shigesakura's main flagship, Qin-ji suddenly realized, "Is Mikasa-senpai talking about Nagato?" "That's right," Mikasa smiled, "she is now Kongsakura's divine son. I believe you will be able to see her later." "Lord Shenzi? I'm really looking forward to it," Qin-ji smiled and said, "but having said that, the cherry blossom tree on Chongying Island is really big. This is not an ordinary cherry blossom tree. This is a cherry blossom tree called the goddess tree in Chongsakura." Mikasa smiled, "This huge goddess tree has been here since we appeared, and it is not here now. I know how old it is." Qin-ji said in surprise, "It's really amazing. That's why Chongying established a barrier that makes it feel like spring all year round for this sacred tree. That's why Chongying's main island looks like it does now." Mikasa smiled. Barrier is a very fantasy word, but Qin-ji has been basically used to it since he has been here for so long. Because this world is not originally the world of shipgun duels that I imagined, but a world full of mystery and magic. This is the existence of ship girls. So a few people walked all the way, discussed and chatted all the way. Finally, at the end of the road, they saw a tall building. This building resembled a shrine. It was located at the root of the sacred tree. There was already a tall building under the shrine. It was full of people. "There are so many people." The centaur looked at the crowded crowd in front of him and sighed to Qin-ji. "Well, I found that there were not only commanders and ship girls inside, but also some people." "Are they all here to participate in the festival?" Qin-ji said to Mikasa on the side. "Yes, because this festival is open to all believers, that's why there are so many people here." Mikasa nodded. Just when everyone wanted to continue talking, commotion broke out from the crowd. "I'm coming. It appears, the Son of God is here. It's Sakura's divine son, Nagato-sama." Qin-ji, Mikasa and others were naturally attracted by the sound, so they quickly looked in the direction of the shrine. Under the towering and huge Sakura sacred tree, the ancient shrine was surrounded by crowds from all directions. Amidst the cheers of the people, an elegant and dignified girl slowly walked out of the shrine. Her steps were steady and her face was determined. Her petite body was in sharp contrast to the huge sacred tree behind her. Wearing a light feather coat and jet black hair, they represent the royal family's initiative and all emphasize her unique identity. The girl slowly walked to the center of the prayer platform, then stopped, turned around, and announced loudly, "I am Nagato, the guardian of Chongsakura, the flagship of the United Fleet, Nagato. Here, on behalf of the Chongsakura royal family, I will offer my faith to the 8 million gods." The girl held back her strength and spoke to the people in the audience in a solemn tone that was inconsistent with her figure. Please close your eyes and pray with me. I hope that the Chongsakura Islands will still have good weather and good crops in the coming year, and that the sacred tree will always be in full bloom. And just after the girl finished speaking, everyone in front of Chin-ji closed their eyes and shouted, "May the sacred tree bloom forever." Even Mikasa beside Chin-ji solemnly closed her eyes and shouted, "May the imperial tree bloom forever." My ship girl, my world. Author, Hwangming Muji. Chapter 240. With everyone shouting, a miracle happened. The air began to flow, and the cherry blossom petals on the sacred tree began to glow faintly. In a blink of an eye, the entire shrine was surrounded by a rain of cherry blossoms. At this time, the people had opened their eyes. They looked at the magical scene in front of them and couldn't help shouting. "Wow, look, it's a god who has a spirit. He is indeed the Son of God." So for a while, exclamations could not be heard. Even Chin-ji was shocked by the scene in front of him. Although I have seen a lot of surprises, this is the first time I have seen such a gorgeous scenery like this. Nagato! 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 The loud shouts of the people were endless, and the cherry blossom petals in the sky turned into small halos, centering on the shrine, spreading to the sky. Chin-ji looked up and saw the small halo, like a shooting star, flying away from Chongying Island from Yushenmu and landing in every corner of Chongying Islands. "It's so beautiful," Commander Guanghui, who was following Chin-ji, couldn't help but sigh when he saw this scene. "Yes, it's really beautiful," Chin-ji sighed. After a moment, the girl standing on the prayer platform slowly turned around and said in a majestic tone, "I am Nagato, the guardian of Chongsakura, and the flagship of the United Fleet. As long as Zujun offers his faith, Chongying Islands will always be prosperous. Prosperity forever! Prosperity forever!" Following the girl's voice, everyone in the audience shouted selflessly. Amidst the cheers, the girl slowly walked towards the shrine. After a while, the figure disappeared at the entrance of the shrine. But even after the girl disappeared, everyone present was still shouting selflessly, and this atmosphere seemed to last forever. At this time, Mikasa looked at Chin-ji with a smile. "The festival has been completed, let's go." Chin-ji nodded and left with the ship girls. Even though everyone had walked far away, they could still hear the shouting. "How is it?" Mikasa asked Chin-ji with a smile. Chin-ji nodded. "It's very magical, very grand, and very characteristic of cherry blossoms." Haha, Mikasa smiled. "Due to time constraints, I haven't seen such a grand event for a long time." "Then where does Senior Mikasa go every time he comes back?" Chin-ji asked. "It's almost time to stay on Chongsakura Island for a while, chat with familiar people, and then go to other islands," Mikasa smiled. Chin-ji nodded. "I'm really sorry that I need to trouble you this time." Mikasa shook her head. "It's nothing, this is what I should do. But having said that, I just saw that all the cherry blossom petals turned into halos and flew to all the Chongsakura Islands. Is it really like what Nagato said? Is it people's belief in gods?" Chin-ji he asked curiously, and the others also looked at Mikasa. "Yes and no," Mikasa said. "Why?" Chin-ji asked doubtfully. "Those fragments are indeed faith, but they are not faith in Chongying's 8 million gods, but faith in a better life. The so-called 8 million gods are just an introduction. The real power brought by everyone's prayers made Yushenmu react." Afterwards, Nagato communicated with the power of the godly tree and released everyone's prayers to every corner of the Chongsakura Islands. In this way, with the help of this kind of prayer, the Chongsakura Islands will have good weather and abundant harvests in the coming year, as Nagato said. Mikasa said. "That's it," Chin-ji nodded. "It sounds a bit unreal," Bismarck said, following the crowd. "Why?" Chin-ji turned to look at Bismarck and asked. People everywhere wish for good weather and good harvests. But praying cannot change the weather in nature. After all, anyone who has studied meteorology knows that. And I think that if you want to achieve a good harvest, instead of praying to gods that you don't know exist, the most important thing is to take action and use technology to change the environment in which you live. Bismarck said. Qin Ji nodded and smiled. You are right, but we cannot think that the people of Chongying are wrong. After all, every camp has its own pursuits, and every camp also has its own system. As you told me before, Iron Blood writes its own history with iron and blood. Most of the history of Chongsakura is related to gods, so it cannot be generalized. Mikasa nodded. It is true what Qin Ji said, such a wish can be realized in Chongying, but it cannot be realized in other places. Just like the people of Donghuang work hard and the iron-blooded people use technology. Everyone nodded, and Qin Ji looked at Tiancheng, who was holding a red umbrella and looking at the scenery on the street. Tiancheng, what do you think? The terrain here determines that it is impossible for Chongying to survive like Donghuang and Taixu. And Lord Nagato obviously has the ability to call for prayers. This is actually the best choice for Chongying, Magi said with a smile. Indeed, Qin Ji nodded. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. We will be arriving at my home here soon. Everyone can take a good rest after taking the boat for so long. Mikasa smiled at everyone. But compared to the place they prepared, the place I have here may be a bit small, so everyone has to squeeze in a little bit. Qin Ji shook his head. It doesn't matter, we are here just to bother Senior Mikasa. I've told you so many times that you're welcome. If you do this again, I'll be angry. Mikasa laughed. Qin Ji smiled and said, okay then. After walking through the very heavy Sakura-style street, everyone turned a corner and headed towards Mikasa's house. Suddenly, he discovered that there were two people standing there in front of the house Mikasa was talking about. One of them has brown hair and a brown tail just like Magi, and is wearing a red and black kimono. The other one has white hair and a white tail, and is wearing a blue and white kimono. Everyone saw them at the first moment, and they also saw everyone at the same time. Akage, Kaga, Mikasa looked at the two figures in the distance, and couldn't help but look back at Qin Ji beside her and Magi behind her. It seems that the person who should come has already arrived. Tiancheng looked at the two people in front of him with a smile on his face, while Qin Ji showed a solemn expression. Although this matter in Chongying was unavoidable, he still hoped that it would come later, but he did not expect that it would come so quickly. And at this moment, the two people walked over quickly, and their target was obviously the figure holding the red umbrella among the crowd. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My Ship Girl, My World. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 241. Why did Akage Kaga appear at Mikasa's door? This matter has to be discussed by Qin Ji and the others and Xianghe Ziwei just now. Although Shokaku has always been irritated with his two seniors in the First Air War, now Shiji Sakura has his own flagship Nagato, but because Nagato usually only concentrates on things at the shrine, he is not concerned about the affairs of the entire camp. Some other people were unable to take charge, so the candidate to lead the affairs of the entire camp fell on Akage Kaga, who had the most seniority. Even if there were thousands of reluctances, she had to go to Akage to report first. As a result, the two members of the 5th Aviation War quickly went to the executive office to report the relevant matters. When they arrived at the executive hall, Akage and Kaga were sitting on a tatami, holding teacups in their hands, looking at the cherry blossoms flying outside, chatting. Seeing the two people approaching, Akage looked up at them and said casually, "It turns out they are two juniors. Don't you usually come to the ruling hall rarely? What are you doing here today?" Seeing Akaga's indifferent tone and indifferent attitude, Xianghe couldn't help but burst out in anger, and then wanted to turn around and walk away. But how could Ruhi on the side not understand his sister, so he quickly grabbed Xianghe who was about to leave and said to Akage, "Senior Akage, we are here to report something to you and Senior Kaga." "Oh, tell me what happened." Akage put down the teacup in his hand and looked up at Ruhi. Ziwakaku said, "When we were patrolling the main island just now, we saw a command ship flying the Azalane flag and the Donghuang flag, sailing into the port of our Chongsakura main island. So I stepped forward and found out that it was Master Mikasa who came to Chongying with the commander of Donghuang's competition this time." Akage nodded. "Well, Donghuang is the closest to Chongying, so it's really normal to come at this time. And Mikasa-senpai is a tutor at Donghuang Commander Academy, right? If he leads the team, he can try not to conflict with us, Chongying, and it can be regarded as giving us Chongying enough face. Then you just go and make arrangements. Just send someone over to inform us about something like this. There is no need to come in person." As the actual person in charge of Shichsakura, Akage naturally has a very thorough understanding of this matter, and also knows why Yatsen sent Mikasa here. "No, these are not the things that really made us come here, but what I said next," Ruhi said quickly. "After all, it would be bad if Akage misunderstood." "Oh, what's the matter?" Kaga beside him also raised his eyes with interest. "Because the commander from Donghuang this time is really too surprising," Ruhi said with emotion. "A trainee commander, and a first-year student at the academy, can actually make you feel so emotional. I'm curious about what kind of place he has," Akage said with a smile. Ziwihi replied, "If he is a first-year trainee commander, just a private or a private, then forget it. The most important thing is that he is a captain commander." "Huh?" Akage and Kaga raised their eyebrows at the same time. "Captain commander? With Donghuang Yuxian's character, he should disdain fraud. What is the specific reason? Have you checked?" "We have checked. It is precisely because we have checked that we feel that we must inform you about this matter," Ruhi said seriously. "Tell me about it." Akage sat up and said. "According to the information from the Azalane Commander Academy headquarters, Commander Qin Ji, who came to participate in the competition, entered the Commander Academy last year. At that time, he did not have any ship girls. However, he was hired by the Dean of Donghuang Commander Academy, King Qin of Wales, as the instructor of the tactical course of Donghuang Commander Academy. 1 year later, he now has 20 ship girls, 4 of whom are at the breakthrough level and 1 is at the full training level. And among these ship girls, there are 2 that are eye-catching. One is Bismarck, the general flagship of the Iron Blood, and the other is Vittorio Veneto, the general flagship of the Sardinian Empire." Following Ziwakaku's words, Akage and Kaga looked at each other and slowly narrowed their eyes. "Interesting, this is the first time in this world that a commander has summoned the camp's flagship, right?" "Yes, in the past, the general flagships of each camp were awakened alone from the sea, but Commander Qin Ji summoned it himself. I believe Donghuang will not make a fuss about this, because these have always been done." "Keep checking," Ruhi said. "Just now did you say that Commander Qin Ji is still a tactics instructor?" Kaga said to Ziwihi. "Yes, and the reason why he obtained the rank of captain was because of his tactics class," Ziwihi said. The 2 seniors should still remember that when Azalane announced the tidal loss rate of the Siren last year, Donghuang's appalling achievements, right? "Well, could it be that this overall strategy came from him?" Akage asked. "No, it's just that the commanders of their large fleets basically listened to his lessons, so during the Siren Tide, they all used his tactics. And it is said that at the request of the Prince of Wales, he also compiled a tactical course textbook for Donghuang Commander Academy, which has just been completed." Ziwihi said to Akage. "Tisk, why do stories like this always sound like fairy tales to me when I hear them?" Akage said. "Yes, When I saw this information for the first time, I also felt that could a person like Unreal really exist in this world, Ruhi said. It seems that there is a high probability that Dong Huang will rise this time. Akage narrowed his eyes, and we can't take action yet, and we have to protect him. Now he is in our territory of Chongying. If other camps know about this situation and take action against him, then we will be the first to be held accountable, which is really troublesome. Perhaps this is why Yuxian didn't send anyone from Dong Huang. It's really clever, Jia, he said. By the way, seniors, have you been looking for a ship girl named Magi? Ziwa, he said to Akage Kaga as if he remembered something. In an instant, Akage and Kaga did not live up to their previous calmness, but slapped the table and quickly stood up, approaching Ziwa. Do you know something? Ah. Ziwakaku was startled by Akage Kaga like this, and said quickly, in fact, we saw a girl in Commander Shinji's ship girl wearing a kimono, with 9 tails, and beating Chongzakura Kanji with a red umbrella. Originally we thought she was one of the Tosa class, but after checking the information just now, we found out that she is the Magi mentioned by our seniors. It seems to be a battle cruiser, and we did not find a duplicate in the ship girl's file. Where are they now? Akage asked eagerly, and Kaga also looked anxious. Is this Tiancheng very important to the two seniors? Ruhi asked doubtfully, and even Xianghe on the side cast his eyes in confusion. My ship girl, my world. Author, Huangming Muji. Chapter 242. You should know that I was converted from a battle cruiser into an aircraft carrier, right? Akage said to Ziwa. Yes, I remember that is indeed the case. Ruhi nodded towards Akage. Akage said leisurely, and my class is Magi class battle cruiser number 2, so what do you think is the relationship between Magi and me? Ziwa understood instantly, so he said to Akage and Kaga, Commander Shinji is with Mikasa-sama. They did not stay in the hospitality hotel we prepared for the major camps, but went to Mikasa-sama's home. Maybe you can find them there. Without saying a word, Akage quickly disappeared in front of Shoukeku Ziwakaku, and then, Kaga also disappeared in front of the two of them. Xianghe looked at the two disappeared people and touched his hair with his hand. It seems that the two seniors also have some unknown secrets. Ziwa looked at his sister's appearance and couldn't help but shake his head. Because of this, Akage and Kaga appeared in front of Mikasa's door. They saw Shinji and others who had returned with Mikasa, and also recognized Magi who was standing among the group of ship girls behind Shinji. Sister Magi. Akage paid no attention to anyone and rushed directly towards the ship girl holding an umbrella, with Kaga following closely beside her. But just when she came closer, Magi smiled slightly at Akage. This must be Akage, the actual person in charge of Chongzakura, right? I'm sorry, I'm not your sister. At this time, not only Akage and Kaga were stunned, but also Shinji, Mikasa and the other ship girls around them were stunned. Because everyone knows the relationship between Magi and Akage, but now that Magi has said this, there is obviously something fishy in it. Why? Akage looked extremely confused. It was obvious that her sister was standing here, but she insisted that she was not her sister. It's very simple, because I am a ship girl with a commander. Magi smiled, you should understand what I mean, right? Magi's meaning is very clear, because there are many ship girls of the same level in this world, and there are even many ship girls peers. So if I have to say it, Glory can be said to be the sister of victory, fear, and indomitability, but there are so many victories and so many formidable things in this world. It is impossible for every victory and fear to be the sister of Glory. Therefore, for ship girls, only those who belong to the same fleet are considered sisters. Those who can be companions and stay together at the same time, and recognize the relationship are sisters. As for the others, they are just familiar ships of the same class. When they encounter them, they just say hello, which is no different from ordinary people. Just like King Kong, who appeared as a commissioned ship girl this time, she is clearly Hai-Ai's sister in Qin Ji's fleet, but Hai-Ai is not too concerned about King Kong because King Kong does not belong to their fleet, so this sisterly relationship does not mean that they can exist at the same level. So Mai's answer left Akage speechless for a moment. Although Mai is the only one in the world now, and Akage and Kage are indeed the first to awaken, they cannot say that Mai is their sister unless they also belong to Qin Ji's fleet. What was originally a joyful reunion was now poured over Akage's head by Mai's words, like a basin of cold water. Seeing the red figure so close at hand, Akage was a little at a loss. She had many longing words that she wanted to say to Tiancheng. She wanted to tell her that she had been working hard for her awakening and resurrection for so many years, but now she had waited for this ending. It was him who caused all this. Akage moved his eyes to Qin Ji at this time. Just as Ruhi said, beside him stood Bismarck and Veneto, as well as a fully trained Guanghui. Akage took a deep breath. Commander Qin Ji, right? Can I ask you something? Give up your ship girl Magi and let her become a free ship girl. Looking at Shi Kong, who was suffering in front of him, Qin Ji said, sorry, I can't agree. You can ask for any conditions you need. As long as Shigeyakura can do it, everything is fine, Akage added. Qin Ji still shook his head. Since Sir Akage is the person in charge of Chongying, he should naturally know what the relationship between the commander and the ship girl is. If, as a commander, I can abandon my ship girl because of some interests, then what dignity do I have to be a commander? And I hope Akage-sama doesn't have to ask this kind of question in the future, because I am representing Dong Huang here now. If you ask a Dong Huang representative to give up his own ship girl, does this mean that you, Chongying, are preparing to declare war with Dong Huang? Qin Ji's solemn answer left Shi Kong speechless for a moment. It is definitely not a wise move to declare war with Dong Huang at this juncture, because the meeting of the 9 major camps is about to be held, and this time it is to divide the interests. If he does something extreme, the other 8 camps will be happy to exclude the Chongying camp. After all, without the competition from one camp, the chance of benefiting will naturally be greater. Seeing that the situation was not right, Jia on the side pulled Akage behind him and said to Qin Ji, Commander Qin Ji, Akage is just acting on impulse. She definitely has no intention of starting a war with Dong Huang. And I'm here to apologize for her behavior. We did get a little impatient today. You must also know that your ship girl Magi is the first Magi in the world, and may also be the only one in the future. And she was our Chongying's military advisor before, and she was also Akage's sister, and she is inextricably related to us. Now as your ship girl, can we talk to her for a while? Qin Ji did not agree directly, but turned to look at Tiancheng. Tiancheng smiled and nodded, looking like he was sure of victory. Of course, it's an honor for me to be able to ask the 2 top executives of Chongying to guide my ship girl, but obviously this is not the place for conversation, is it? Qin Ji said to Kage. At this time, Mikasa said to everyone, we will be at my house soon. I think I can prepare a quiet place for you there so that you can have a good chat. Kage nodded solemnly to Mikasa, that will be very troublesome for Mikasa-senpai. While several people were talking, Akage's eyes were always on Magi, and he didn't turn his head for a moment. It wasn't until Kagami pulled her and walked towards Mikasa's house with Qin Ji and others that he silently withdrew his eyes. You're impulsive, Kage said softly when he and Akage were at the end of the crowd. But she is so close. This is the closest I've ever been to her after years of hard work, Akage said in a deep voice. In order to see her, I won't hesitate to join forces with our opponents. But her appearance is not because of your efforts, is it, Jia? He said softly.